We're looking for the #1 place to #2. Today, we're at one of the most iconic locations in the region, the Cincinnati Museum Center. I'm Bryce Carson, and this is the place to go. Wow, this is incredible.
Bryce?
Yes.
Cody, welcome to Cincinnati Museum Center.
Thank you so much. This is amazing.
It's not a bad first impression, right?
No, not at all. And I'm excited to see what else you guys have.
It gets better from here. You want to go check it out?
Absolutely.
All right, let's go. Hi, I'm Cody Hefner, Vice President of Marketing and Communications here at Cincinnati Museum Center. Cincinnati Museum Center is 3 museums in one. We have the Cincinnati History Museum, that is Cincinnati and regional history. We have the Museum of Natural History and Science that has dinosaurs, a cave, ice age, space, all kinds of really wonderful stuff. And we have the Children's Museum, which is just a playground for learning. It's literally where you learn through play. And if that's not enough, we also have an OmniMax Theater, which is a sort of semi-dome immersive theater experience here at Cincinnati Museum Center.
So, what's the story behind this nice little rock?
Well, I told you we have a lot of cool crap here, and this is probably the coolest. These are fossilized dinosaur poop.
Oh.
Which you think, all right, that's kind of silly. Is that in there kind of as a prank? But they actually tell us a lot about what dinosaurs ate, what their digestion was like, what some of the other plant animal life was like as well. So it actually is really important for science, but it's also just kind of fun.
All right, well, it looks a lot prettier than mine. Okay, so silly question. Is not a real cave?
Not a real cave. But it is modeled after limestone caves like Mammoth Cave in Kentucky that a lot of people might be familiar with.
Yes.
And what's great about this is there are 2 paths you can go. There is a little more advanced path that has stairs, a little tighter corridors, and then there's a flat path that is all one level, that's handicap accessible, wheelchair accessible, stroller accessible. So everyone has an opportunity to feel this, and regardless of what trail you go on, you still get that cave experience.
That's wonderful.
So you are meant to feel like you are actually walking into a cave. It's a little cooler in here. It feels a little claustrophobic. You have these little window areas where animals that live in caves are right here. Here you get a little choose your own adventure. You can go straight into the stalactite and stalagmite area, or you can get it ambitious and you can go down the corridor where you have to crawl under or climb over some little formations.
Feeling ambitious. Oh, and then it gets tight. Oh, I wasn't expecting that. All right. Shimmy.
So here you've got the running water dripping through these cave formations as you're learning about how stalactites and stalagmites form for the mineral deposits as this water drips through these limestone caves. The cave's really a choose your own adventure on how you get through it. And sometimes if you get through it.
Easy. What do you mean? This is the most natural thing.
Are you sure you didn't miss your calling with the Olympics? All right. We made it. You survived.
We're alive.
All 500 feet.
So how did this get here? How did you make the whole cave inside the museum?
So thinking about how to build this in this space is one thing, but we didn't. Before the Museum of Natural History and Science was here, it was at a different location, Gilbert Street. So for anyone who knows the castle by Channel 9's studios, that's where the Science Museum was. This cave was at that location on Gilbert Avenue. When we moved into Union Terminal, they moved the cave into this space with it. I don't know logistically how they did it, but this cave has existed in another location and been moved here.
That seems like that would be more complicated than just making the cave in
but
here.
It's got to be something like, don't improve on perfection. Like you've mastered it. Let's figure out a way to get this back in. And maybe I'm thinking of the logistics of moving it, building it had to have been that much more difficult. So now we're walking in to the Ice Age. Really cool murals on the wall that show what the landscape would have been like. And this is sort of the ground at the end of the glacier. So the terminus of it, where it's just pushed all these rocks and kind of scraped the ground up. So you thought you were done with caves, but we have one more to walk through. You walk in and it gets a little cooler as you walk through. So you are kind of inside this glacier. Because when you think of glaciers, they're not on the move. That's over thousands and thousands of years. So as there is just that little bit of melt, the water starts to run through and inside, and you kind of have these glacier ecosystems and these ice caves that you can walk through. And again, you can never have too many water features.
No. The more the merrier.
It's kind of like a zen area. You can come in here and just let the white noise of the water soothe you.
Sit down, just do a few mental exercises.
Heal yourself in the calming waters of the Ice Age Gallery at Cincinnati Museum Center. Heal yourself in the calming waters of the Ice Age Gallery at Cincinnati Museum Center. As you're walking out, you are literally at the end of the glacier. So if you're an animal living during the Ice Age, there's just this ice field behind you that then just stretches into these long plains. Wow. This is some of the coolest stuff, because you can you're kind of right here with these dire wolves. And when we were talking earlier, these were hand carved by one of our exhibit artists. Each hair was individually kind of carved and shaped into this.
Wow. That is amazing. I remember what you were talking about earlier about how kind of atmospheric you make these sets.
Yeah.
Or exhibits. I could say sets because it's almost like a theater set or something.
Yeah, it does.
But cranked up to 11. Gosh, this is amazing.
You're trying to set that scene, and you could put these all in cases along the wall. You know, here's a wolf skeleton. Here's an ancient bison skeleton. Here's a stag moose. You can put that there, and it's still cool and interesting to look at. But seeing them in their quote-unquote natural habitat is just so cool.
Can't beat it. Oh, wow.
Welcome to the 1850s.
Whew. Time travel's that easy.
It's that easy.
All right.
We had the solution all along. This space is another one that's just amazing, because it is top to bottom, wall to wall, immersive in that era. So you have the street lamps, you have the sound is really, really cool. So this is what it would have felt like to be on the riverfront in the 1850s. You look out, you can see the Roebling Bridge is just starting to be constructed. You can actually walk on to the steamboat, get a sense of some of the cargo and the inner workings of the boat. They were just incredible. And if you think of this era of Cincinnati, everything is traveling by water, by rivers. Trains are starting to pick up, and trains are starting to really open up parts of the country, but so much of it still lived on the river, and Cincinnati was a huge city for that reason. I love the sound effects in here, because you get just a little bit of that hustle and bustle. You also get a good smattering of the different businesses, so dressmaking and ladies' goods, an apothecary or pharmacy, a print shop, and you can go in to a lot of these storefronts and learn more. You can go into the print shop and you can set printing blocks the way that they would have at that time, and we do programming where we'll actually set some of that stuff for you, and you can print your own card and kind of take that with you.
That's cool. There's so much to see and do at the Museum Center, we can't even fit it all in one episode. They even have some pretty cool exhibits with a special Cincinnati connection.
Some people don't know this. Neil Armstrong, not only was he the first man on the moon, he was a professor here at UC, and he was a board member here at the museum. So the Apollo 11 mission is not just an important story for Cincinnati with that connection, but for all of humanity. This is Neil Armstrong's actual flight jacket. So when he wasn't wearing the big suit that you see them bobbing around on the moon in, when they're in the capsule, this is what they're wearing. This is his actual jacket, on loan from the Smithsonian, which is very cool because this is a national treasure. We have a replica of the suit that he wore. It is a half a step down from actual grade for astronauts, but we have a replica of that suit for people to see what they would actually look like. But what I think is the coolest thing, we have a moon rock. Not just any old moon rock from Apollo 16 or 15 or anything. This is a moon rock from the Apollo 11 mission, the very first time humans set foot on the moon. We have a rock from that mission. Oh, wow. Yeah. So Neil Armstrong was gifted this from NASA and said, you can do whatever you want with it. And Neil Armstrong decided to donate that here to Cincinnati Museum Center. So Neil Armstrong himself gave us a moon rock from the Apollo 11 mission, which is just incredible. And I think it is, when you think of the magnitude of this, that's number one, getting to the moon was one accomplishment. Right. Getting back from the moon was the big one. But in between, they're also collecting stones and rocks and stuff to bring back to study and soil samples and things like that. So for us to have one of these, and sure, you will find moon rocks in other museums from different missions, but one of the first is just crazy.
Alrighty, out of all the exhibits, this is the one I'm most excited for, I will say. It's very sleek, very modern. There's not a lot of different colors or things to really look at, which would make sense in a museum like this. Your focus needs to be out there, not in here, even though this is where you do some of the most important business. Let's take a look. Let's, for the little ones, got a little step. Let's see how she goes. Yeah, that's what you want. That's good. That's good pressure. And it's kind of warm. It's not warm like you turn on the warm setting, but it's a comfortable temperature. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen that in a lot of the other ones. Alrighty. Next on the docket. This one has two options. We can either pull up to use less water, that's for a number 1, or down for our number 2s. That gives it more water pressure to get everything down. Let's see number 1. Ample. Number 2. Boom. There is a difference in both of them. Very good. All right, on to the next thing. Pumping 1 gallon through. Okay, so this is a little long, but it does give enough time for the water to fill up, clean out anything that's in the bottom, and then flush it all away. Not bad. Last but not least, Dyson dryer. I've heard good things about these, so let's get these mitts wet first. Let's do a little flick. Let's try it out. No time at all. No time at all. Personally, not usually a big fan of air dryers, but this one got the job done. We've seen some great exhibits and incredible bathrooms, but before we get to our review, let's learn a bit about what makes the Cincinnati Museum Center so special.
I think when people think of museums, and especially when they think of science museums, they think of dinosaurs, they think of fossils, and we have really incredible dinosaur fossils here that were selected not because they're the cool, sexy ones that people recognize, but because of how important they are to science. So we have a Torvosaurus that is an older ancestor to a T-Rex, but it's the only one of its kind in the world. So if you want to see a Torvosaurus that is fully articulated, fully put together, the full skeleton, you have to come here to Cincinnati Museum Center. We have a Daspletosaurus that's behind me. It is another relative of T-Rex. A lot of people mistake it for a T-Rex. It's a little older. It's one of about 10 in the world. We have a Gallimiopus. It's one of 3 in the world, and it's one that we fully excavated ourselves. We have a mini version of Cincinnati called Cincinnati in Motion that shows the city in the 1900s, 1910s, 20s, 30s, and 40s, all in this really wonderful mini layout that just stretches out in front of you. Children's Museum, you're crawling through the treetops in the woods that replicates the forest that you would find around here. A lot of kids may not have an opportunity or have played out in the woods before. We bring that here to the museum experience.
They say we.
Depending on how you want to carve it up, it dates back over 200 years. The Museum of Natural History and Science, its roots are in 1818. Its first employee was John James Audubon, who a lot of people recognize as a painter of birds and kind of the first naturalist. The Cincinnati History Museum, that dates back to about 1831. All of those museums converged here at Union Terminal in 1990. So we opened with the Museum of Natural History and Science, the Cincinnati History Museum, and the OmniMax Theater. In 1998, we brought in the Children's Museum, and that's how we've been operating for over 30 years. Union Terminal was built between 1929 and 1933, the height of the Great Depression, all using private money. So it finished ahead of budget and on time. It opened March 31st, 1933. It consolidated 7 train stations here in Cincinnati. It was hailed as a temple to transportation when it opened. During World War II, it was the site of the very first USO Troops in Transit Lounge. So instead of troops having to go off-site to a YMCA or a church to get some of those comforts of home as they were shipping off to war, we had that right here in Union Terminal. And they did not discriminate. Black and white soldiers at a time when the country was segregated, the military was segregated, they were treated equally and served equally here at Union Terminal and in the USO Troops in Transit Lounge here. It's estimated that 1 out of every 5 American soldiers who served in World War II passed through Union Terminal at some point during the war and then returned home, along with Holocaust survivors who stepped off the trains here and walked through Union Terminal to begin a new life here in Cincinnati. So it has a really incredible history here in Cincinnati. And for anyone who's driven past the building, you'll recognize it immediately. The biggest connection from a literal sense, the Cincinnati History Museum, it tells the region's history, and we've been collecting that for almost 200 years. So we have documents, we have objects, we have letters and maps and all these really wonderful pieces that stretch back further than 200 years that tell the history of the founding of the city and the region and some of its earliest inhabitants. But beyond that, this is where kids come on field trips. This is where people go on first dates. This is where people go on rainy days or to find something to do for the weekend. It is, if you grow up in Cincinnati, this is part of your childhood. If you're raising kids in Cincinnati, this is part of their childhood and in kind of the memories you make with them. It's a place where you can step away from what you're doing. You can step away from your phone and everything else that's going on in the world and in your life, and you sort of lose yourself in this experience and share that together. So that, to me, that's what it means for the city, and that's its connection to the city. Is it's a little different for everyone, but it is personalized and it's yours. The Cincinnati Museum Center is really about curiosity. It is for all those people who have 7 Wikipedia pages open on your computer or on your phone. This is for you. As you walk through, you're just going down rabbit holes of curiosity, of discoveries. I want to learn more about that. And it's equally kids and adults. Everyone's learning together. There is something, regardless of what level you're coming into the information on. A lot of times kids know so much more about dinosaurs than their parents. And so it's an opportunity for parents to learn, to catch up, but also to connect over some shared interest. So it's It's just about curiosity, coming in and trying to learn more, being open to learning more, and then walking out of here and continuing that knowledge. What is it inspiring you to research, to look up, to learn more about? We have some really cool aspects. You're in this historic building, but we've done a lot of work over the years to make sure that our restrooms are very inclusive. I have 3 kids, so it's not just about changing the baby's diaper. It's what are you doing with the others, and having space to do that, and cramming into a tiny stall or trying to cordon them into a bathroom can be tough. So we have these really great family restrooms for that. If you have adults who need special care, we have space for that. If you need a space to nurse, or you need a space to sit down, or you don't feel like the restrooms that typically conform to men's and women's fit who you are, we have restrooms for that too. So something that I'm very proud about our restrooms is they're clean. I think they smell pretty nice, but they're inclusive too, and I think people will feel welcome in them.
We'll be judging this bathroom on 3 categories: functionality, uniqueness, and most importantly, is this a place where you can number 2? These bathrooms are designed for a variety of needs. Whether your child needs a step up to reach the sink, or you need a little extra space in one of their family rooms, these bathrooms have you covered. 5 out of 5. Yeah, maybe these aren't the most eye-catching bathrooms, but you're in a historic building with state-of-the-art appliances, so that's pretty fun. 3 out of 5. These toilets pack a serious flush, and the variety of inclusive bathroom options means you can go in peace. I would poo. 5 out of 5. When it comes to reviewing the Museum Center bathrooms, Cody says it best.
I think a lot of times when people think of bathrooms, they're thinking of number 2, but I think our bathrooms are number 1.
Do you have a favorite place to go? Do you know of a unique bathroom in the greater Cincinnati area? Well, let us know so we can go check it out. Thanks for watching, and join us next time on The Place to Go.